You're back with The Nation, and we're staying with the issue of how to fix our ailing regional economies. My guests are Far North Mayor Wayne Brown. Northland has the highest unemployment in the country. In Wanganui, I'm joined by Mayor Annette. Her region has the second highest unemployment rate. And in Wellington, CTU Secretary Peter Conway. Welcome to you all this morning. Mr Brown, if I can start with you, what's going to kickstart regional development in the Far North, given that it's a complex and vast region, isn't it?
Well, I've spent a lot of my life fixing complex problems, and you need lots of solutions. And the fact that we're even talking about it is a good step. There are a mixture of things. The iwi settlements, which the Minister mentioned, is a step on the journey. My council's focused a lot more on that. We've invested in things like the aeromagnetic and radiometric overfly survey for minerals. But you don't clutch at just one straw. There's a whole lot of things. And so having a discussion, having a community that talks about that, talks about growth and jobs is a good start. I mean, we have had people who are saying, we want more jobs, but we don't want them in this, and whangaroa people, so we don't want them in agriculture and we don't want them in mining. And yet,
well, that's what Stephen Joyce referred to, so there's this pushback.
But in there, the two existing industries in whangaroa are agriculture and mining. There's a really big oyster farm which has got some difficulties over the recent disease which has got into the young ones, but in China Clays is a huge mine out there that employs people, and so we just need to grow more of that. Forestry is booming up north, and we need to, and there are moves afoot to have more manufacturing of it within there. So
okay, all right. Annette, where are the opportunities for economic development in Wanganui?
Well, there are many opportunities, and what we need to do is work together with the government on a plan to take advantage of them. And Wayne's right, there are lots of threads to this. We are a traditionally pastoral farming, sheep, beef area, and there are lots of opportunities to actually have other industries off the back of that, such as the honey industry in the Wanganui River Valley in the Manuka area. And that's certainly one of the work options that are coming out of the treaty settlement with Wanganui iwi, looking at economic development in that Wanganui River
But you probably
catchment.
can't develop Wanganui just, putting in place a bit of a honey industry, can you? You need far more than that. Stephen Joyce says regions like yours have to look at their natural resources. Do you have other natural resources there?
Absolutely, and that, as I said, there's a whole lot of threads to that, and that is only one of those threads. And let's be real about honey. Honey isn't about actually the honey that you eat. It's about the whole nutraceuticals and the health industry that's built up around that. That's only one aspect. We've got a lot of light manufacturing. We've got some really successful companies here that are selling top-end products. What we need to do is to make sure that the young people who are in this town have sufficient training, and our council has actually invested in a training establishment to make sure that we've got people coming through for those industries.
Peter Conway, the young, if you like, of New Zealand are something of a problem here, aren't they? Those who aren't in education, employment or training of any degree. I mean, these are the people who will be paying for our generation when it comes to healthcare and aged care and our pensions. What does the government need to do? Because this isn't just a specific New Zealand problem. This is something of a problem across Western nations, isn't it? The great generation that's not doing anything.
The government needs to do a lot more, and congratulations to the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs for pushing the issue of youth unemployment and trying to get guarantees for young people. The government needs to be a really good partner with the regions, but what the Council of Trade Unions is concerned about is the government really isn't making jobs enough of a priority in this whole business growth agenda they keep talking about. And the CTU, we're going to be launching a campaign about good jobs on a living wage and not the kind of a tax on pay and conditions and employment rights that we're seeing. We've got 163,000 unemployed, we've got 111,000 part-timers seeking more hours, and we've had 51,300 go to live in Australia in the last year. So what we need are a number of things, like for instance, when times are tough, you see what the priorities are. They gave tax cuts to those on high incomes. If they reverse some of that, just a bit of it, they could free up, say, $500 million for a jobs fund. They could invest more in training. Okay. And one other thing that they really should do is have local industry participation clauses in government procurement. So there's lots more the government can do.
Wayne Brown, what does a teenager do in Kaitaia when they finish up in their last year of high school? What are the opportunities open to him or her?
Well, the forestry industry is pretty strong up there at the moment, and there is a large manufacturing plant there that Duke and Nisho own. We need to have more of the timber processed further within the district, and there are moves afoot to do that. It's important to realise that it's a sprawling area up there, and
it's huge.
we think of it as two regions. This Wanganui is an urban one in the south, and the whānau is very, very different. It's on the mere 46 different towns. We have a huge range in schools as they leave. So if you're leaving from Kaitaia, you're probably doing quite well. If you're leaving from Kaikoura, not so good. Kerikeri, you will be well trained. There are definitely opportunities for those people, and North Tech is now starting to talk to industry and align what they're teaching with where the jobs are, rather than they've tended to talk what the people knew to teach.
Would Northland be better off staying in the pristine state that it's in, as a beautiful area, and tapping into tourism on some level in a greater degree than what it does now?
Well, tourism's our third industry, and it coexists with everything else. I think the one magic bullet industry thing is a false thing. And I've been involved I was the engineer for Kauri Cliffs, which is one of our premium tourist products. It's right next door to another engineering job of mine, New Zealand China Clays. They coexist beautifully. You don't have one versus the other, and not in tourism. Whilst it's good, there's a low wage industry, and compared with mining and dairying processing, we will see more processing up there. I think the enemy of places like the far north is centralisation. I think this most of what is in here I quite like the idea of it, but a lot of the numbers are wrong. Like, for instance, our population, they say the population is 160,000 in Northland. That's because they measure it in the middle of winter. The population of the whānau is 150,000 through summer, and a lot of these well-off people leave the district in that part of the year. I've actually never been in the census because I'm usually somewhere else at that time of the year. So these are good ideas, but we need the ability to challenge this stuff. I don't want someone in Wellington thinking that working away in a building thinking they can get everything they need to know out of here.
Okay, Annette Main, did the government talk to you about this? Would you have liked some level of consultation? Do you have ideas of how central government can help you?
Well, certainly Wayne talks about the tourism industry, and it would be really great if the tourism funding that has been recently announced was actually going to help the regions. We know that visitors to New Zealand are looking for more out of the off the beaten track, so to speak, experiences, and we know that places like Northland and Wanganui actually offer those things. I've just been recently at a big sales show for New Zealand tourism, and that was the clear message that we got, that visitors are looking to get away from the main tourist areas. So some investment in that into the regions, and some commitment from the government to be promoting the regions alongside the Queenstowns and Rotoruas.
But
would
is
be
that,
great.
I mean, this is the reality. Can Wanganui compete with the greatest respect with the likes of Queenstown or, the Milford Sounds or Bay of Islands?
We don't need to compete. We're already attracting large numbers of visitors, and we attract them for different reasons. Apart from the fact that the scenery in Queenstown and the scenery in Wanganui is both pretty stunning. If you have a look at some of our hinterland, we know that visitors are coming here, and we know why they're coming here. So Wayne's right, the visitor industry is part of that mix. I guess what we want to see also from the government is investment into training, and we're working really hard with our local UCOL to actually be able to provide the kind of courses that people need when they leave school, that get them into the industries that we've already got here.
Peter Conway, what we're talking about here, though, really is low-value jobs, isn't it? Not the big, hard-hitting jobs that the government says is what these regions need to drive them forward.
Yes, and what we'd like to see is a really good manufacturing strategy, and we all know we need to be able to export and we need value added. We've known that for decades.
Really? You think the country can get wealthy on manufacturing, competing with China?
There's 250,000 jobs in it, and it can do better. I think the Minister is being, quite aggressive, saying, well, if you want jobs in a community, you've got to accept a very high level of environmental risk. The unions are not opposing mining, full stop, but We have to remember that they are good jobs, but don't place your economic asset around clean green at risk, and take a very cautious approach to the environment when you're doing that, and don't exaggerate the jobs. Even in Australia, less than 4% of the jobs are in mining.
OK, we have to leave it there. CTU Secretary Peter Conway, thank you. Thank you too to Far North Mayor Wayne Brown and Wanganui Mayor Annette. Thank you to you.